Hello, today we are making it 8th day of our class in Introduction to Python Programming. Looping in Python allows us, the programmers, to execute a block number of code repeatedly until that condition or until certain conditions are met. Thus, we continue to iterate. We iterate until we meet our conditions. And in Python documentation provides us with two basic or two primary looping that we are going to be working with in Python or during our Python programming. Those looping are for loop and then while loop. And in for loop, it's been categorized into four basic categories. One, we have list. Two, we have tuples. Three, we have string. And in number four, we have range. Follow me in this class. I take you through your practical sessions. We are going to start with a for loop, and then we know in a for loop we have a syntax of for variable in sequence. So we have it this way that we have a list to say. We first of all need to declare a variable, right? Let's say that variable could be a number, and then we have a list of items or elements inside it. Just in the case of our array list, we know we have in an array list, we have element, we have index. The element is the numbers or the list of items you have provided within the list. The index is the what? The index number that you use to point your element with them. And usually the index start from 0 to what? To n minus 1, isn't it? So the same thing here, we enclose them within a square bracket, and when we have 1, we separate them with comma, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and whatsoever number you want to print. So then we have 4 now. Let's say we have 4, then none. After 4, none, we said in what? We are having for no in the variable that we have declared outside the 4. That's the sequence, right? Number or numbers. Let's say numbers, please. We modify this to also be numbers. Are we together? So we have column. So then we have the statement. The statement will always be what you are printing inside it. So do you want to print something to the user, or you just want to list your elements? I always want a user-friendly program, so I might decide to have list of an element. List of an element. So we have, just as usual, we have our what? Curly braces, then we have none. So one might be confused to say, why are we not declaring this outside this for loop? The reason is because once you are using for and you are using variable within the for, this is already or is explicitly what been declared. That is why we are not using we are not declaring our variable outside the for loop. So here we are going to encounter error because of this double quote. This should be inside, the known variable should be inside this. So if we run this, we are going to have list of an element, num, and what? So there is issue here. What is the issue? Print. The issue here, because we did not use our f-string function. That is why we are having that error. Our f-string functions are being used in order to concatenate our integer with a string function. So let's run it and see again. So you see now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the last. So this is the typical syntax of how we can use our for loop in order to have a certain output of iteration. So let's see how we can use list this time around. We are going to comment this. We comment this. I will also comment this one. So we are going to have a practical scenario of a list. So we know in our for loop, in our array, I've already made an example of how our arrays are working. We have element, we have index. The index we use to point the element with it. So here we need to know that our list is a collection that is mutable. The mutability here is that the ability to be modified. Are we together? Then it can be ordered and allows duplicate elements. Here in the list, you can have duplicate element, like you can have 2, 2, you can have 3, 3. You can also be able to modify. Then it can be ordered or unordered, just depends on how you arrange it. It will appear just the way you arrange them, unless you pinpoint to what to use index value for printing. So we are going to have here, we are going to first of all create a list. Are we together? Call my list. So in creating this list, we are going to store the same variable or the same element here. Let me just copy this and paste it here. I believe you are understanding this thing, please, very well. So now what we have done here, we have created a list within element with a variable called my list. So how are we going to access this list now? To access this list, we use their index value if we want to have element by element. But if we want to access all, then we use the variable name. So this time around, accessing the first element there, we said print. We have uh, first, first, what happened? First element in the list is going to be outside the comma. You write it here. Then you have what we call my list. That is your what? That is your variable name, right? My list. So what is the index you want to print? The index is 0. That's your first uh, element in the list. Let's run this and see. So you see it here. We have what? The first element in the list is 2. The second element, I will not be changing the description, but we just keep on changing the index, please. So you see now, this one will take the third one. It's always n minus 2, always n minus 1. So I'm going to have this also. So let's practice the power of mutability. That is the power of modification. So we want to modify now. How are we going to modify? We modify by using the variable name, that is my list, then the index which you want to modify. Which index do you want to modify here? Let's assume we don't know the index. So, but we can just decide to say index is 3. So if we are modifying index of 3, what value are we assigning into it? We are assigning, let's say we are assigning 30. So this has no impact on this now. Even if you run it, it will be executed without any function. But if you said you want to print the list or the modified list, the modified list in the modified element, or the modified list, sorry, the modified list. Sorry, I did not enclose this into double quote. So we run it again and see. How do you see it? The modified list? I did not say anything, right? So let's have a comma, and then we have my list underscore list. So we will not specify any index this time around, but rather we run it, it will now display. So there is an arrow. So what is the arrow here saying? So because once we use this square bracket, it assumes that we want to use index into it. So we remove index, please. Then let's rerun this and see. So you see now the modified list is 1, 2, 3. So you see 30 now. We have modified 4, isn't it? So if we now come back to this place, let's assume we want to, in the first place, we want to print the list in general. Please, but print the list, the original list, or the original list. So comma my underscore list. Are we together? We run it, and then We see now, this is the original list, this is the modified list. Are we together? So also, if you want to add a list to an element to the value, we are going to use what we call append. That is, we want to append something. So how are we going to do that? That's, we want to add element in the list. Let's assume the last element in this list is 7, meaning that since we write them in order, it means it's going to be 6 of index, right? So we are going to use my underscore list. Then we have dot append. What are we appending? Append what? So what index are we appending within this element? We want to append element number 6. We are adding what? We are adding 6, right? So let's say we are adding 8 this time around. We want to add 8 on the list because it's like a stack, or is it a stack of stack? It's like stacking, please, in data structure. You continue to pile up, right? You continue to pile up, not popping. So we have this. So now let's try to write print another modified the added list, the modified and added list. So let's run it again and see. So you see now 8 is being added, isn't it? So this is how you go about your list for loop, or list in your for loop in dealing with your programming in Python. I believe this is explicitly explained and you are well understood of how we go about explaining and writing each line of code in this class today. If you do enjoy this session and you find it worthy, please do share our video, comment, and like for more to be coming your way. Thank you for being with us. Remain blessed.